You've probably looked at hundreds of ECGs, maybe even thousands. You recognize the P wave, you know, the QRS complex. You look for ST elevation, you analyze T waves. But have you ever stopped and asked a very simple question? Why are they called P, Q, R, S, and T waves? Why not A, B, C, D, and E? After all, most things start with the letter A. So why does the ECG begin with P? Was there an A wave? A B wave? What happened to C and D? And who decided that these strange letters would become one of the most important languages in medicine? Today, we're going to answer a question that almost every healthcare professional has seen, but very few have ever asked. And the answer takes us back more than a century, back to the birth of electrocardiography itself, back to a scientist whose work would change medicine forever. Let's travel back to the late 1800s. At the time, scientists already knew that the heart produced electricity, but measuring it was incredibly difficult. The signals were tiny, extremely tiny, thousands of times weaker than the electricity used to power a light bulb. Yet these tiny electrical currents controlled every heartbeat. Scientists were fascinated. They wanted to see these electrical signals, record them, understand them. But the technology simply wasn't there. Then came a Dutch physiologist named Willem Einthoven, the man many people call the father of electrocardiography. At the time, recording cardiac electrical activity was crude and unreliable. The equipment was enormous, the tracings were poor, and interpretation was difficult. Einthoven wanted something better, much better. After years of work, he developed the string galvanometer, a revolutionary device capable of detecting the tiny electrical currents generated by the heart. For the first time in history, doctors could clearly record the heart's electrical activity, and what they saw was fascinating. A repeating pattern, small waves, large spikes, smooth curves, the language of the heart written on paper. But then another problem appeared. How do you name these waves? How do you describe them scientifically? How do researchers around the world talk about the same waveform? Many people assume Einthoven should have started with the letter A. That seems logical. But he didn't. Instead, he chose the letter P. And the reason is surprisingly interesting. At the time, scientists and mathematicians often used letters from the middle of the alphabet to label points on complex curves. In geometry and physics, letters like P, Q, R, S, and T were commonly used to identify specific locations on graphs. Starting with P allowed room for earlier theoretical points if needed. So Einthoven adopted that naming system. The first visible upward deflection became the P wave. The first downward deflection before the main spike became Q. The large upward spike became R. The downward deflection after R became S. And the final wave became T, simple, elegant, and remarkably effective. But here's something even more interesting. There actually are additional letters. Most people know P, most people know QRS, most people know T. But there's another wave hiding in some ECGs, the U wave. The U wave appears after the T wave. It is usually small, sometimes almost invisible. And in many ECGs, you won't see it at all. Scientists still debate its exact origin. So, technically, an ECG doesn't stop at T. Sometimes it continues to U. Now let's take a closer look at what these letters actually represent, because each one tells a different chapter of the heart's story. The P wave is atrial depolarization. This is the moment the electrical impulse spreads across the atria. The atria contract. Blood moves into the ventricles, and the heartbeat begins. Next comes the QRS complex, the most recognizable part of the ECG. The electrical impulse rapidly travels through the ventricles. The ventricles contract. Blood is pumped to the lungs, blood is pumped to the body. Life is sustained. Notice how much larger the QRS complex is than the P wave. That's because the ventricles contain much more muscle than the atria. More muscle means more electrical activity. And more electrical activity means a larger signal. After ventricular contraction comes recovery. The ventricles reset themselves electrically, preparing for the next heartbeat. This recovery process is called repolarization, and on the ECG, we see it as the T wave. Every heartbeat, every second, every minute, every day of your life. The same sequence repeats. PQRST, again and again, more than 100,000 times each day. What's remarkable is that a naming system created over a century ago remains unchanged today. Doctors in New York use it. Cardiologists in London use it. Medical students in India use it. Researchers in Japan use it. The entire world speaks the same ECG language. And it all started with a simple decision: a scientist choosing letters to label a waveform. A decision that would become one of the most recognizable conventions in medicine. So the next time you look at an ECG and see a P wave, a QRS complex, and a T wave, you'll know you're looking at more than just letters. You're looking at a naming system that has survived for over 100 years. A system born from scientific curiosity, and a system that continues to help save millions of lives every single day. So to summarize, ECG waves are called P, Q, R, S, and T because Willem Einthoven adopted a mathematical naming convention already used for labeling points on curves. He intentionally started with P rather than A. The naming system became standardized and remains in use worldwide today. And while most people know the P wave, QRS complex, and T wave, some ECGs may even show a U wave beyond the T wave. Sometimes the most interesting questions in medicine are not about disease, not about treatment, not about diagnosis. Sometimes they're simply about why things are the way they are. And once you know the answer, you'll never look at an ECG the same way again. If you found this explanation helpful, make sure to like the video and leave a comment below. What medical question have you always wondered about but never asked? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.